Hey everyone, today we are going to find out how to get the maximum velocity of a particle and the average speed of a particle. So do stick around till the end of the video while I take you through the parts to get to it. Now this is a very typical and common kinematics question that is presented to us. A particle moves along the x-axis, it passes the origin O with a velocity of 8 meters per second, and its acceleration given by A is t seconds after passing O is given by A equals to 3 minus t. So we are then required to find the velocity of the particle when t is equals to 2. Now remember, if we want to find the velocity of the particle, this can be done by integrating A with respect to t and by writing it as such like this. And because this is an indefinite integral, don't forget to put the c behind, which indicates that this is an arbitrary constant. So in order to find the value of c when t is equals to 0, or if you first start the stopwatch at t equals to 0, v is equals to 8, therefore c is equals to 8. Thus, the velocity of the particle is given by 3t minus 1 over 2t squared plus 8. But don't forget to answer to the question. We want to find the actual velocity when t is equals to 2. So this will mean that v is equals to 6 minus 2 plus 8, giving us a value of 12. Thus, its velocity is 12 meters per second when t is equals to 2. Now moving on to the next part, we want to find the maximum velocity of the particle. Now for maximum velocity, dv over dt is equals to 0. Now to explain this further, dv over dt is actually the acceleration of the particle. Remember that acceleration is the rate of change of velocity. So if you are accelerating, it means that every second your velocity is changing. So once we have reached maximum velocity, it means that the velocity can't get any higher at all because it's the maximum. And this means that the acceleration is 0. It's not changing anymore. Thus, we equate this to 0. Therefore, 3 minus t is equals to 0. And very simply, t is equals to 3. Now, this is the time where the velocity is at maximum. Thus, by substituting t into equation v, which is the velocity, the maximum velocity is equals to 3 multiplied by 3 minus half times 9 plus 8, giving us a specific value of 12.5 meters per second. Now before we move on to the next part, do remember to subscribe to this channel to see more valuable contents such as this. Now in part C, we would like to find the displacement of the particle from O when it is at rest. Now the relationship between the displacement and the velocity is simply integrating the velocity with respect to t so that we can find the displacement. Alright, so displacement will be given by x meters from O, and this will be x equals to integrate v with respect to t, and this will be 3t minus half t squared plus 8 with respect to t. And by integrating, we will have 3 over 2 t squared minus 1 over 6 t cubed plus 8t plus d. Now d is also an arbitrary constant because this is an indefinite integral. Now to find the value of d, it is simply when t is equals to 0, x is equals to 0, because the particle first passes through the origin when t is equals to 0. Therefore, the value of t, when you substitute these values in, will be equals to 0, and the displacement will be 3 over 2t squared minus 1 over 6t cubed plus 8t. And this is not enough because we want to find the displacement when the particle is at rest. So when you see the keyword at rest, the velocity is equals to 0, meaning that it is not moving. Therefore, 3t minus half t squared plus 8 is equals to 0. And by solving this quadratic equation, the value of t is equals to 8 because t cannot be minus 2, which is a negative number. Now when t is equals to 8, simply plug this value into the displacement equation, and then you will have a value of 74 2/3 meters. Thus, the displacement of the particle from O when it is at rest is 74 2/3 meters. Now coming to the last part where we want to find the average speed of the particle, the average speed is simply the total distance traveled by the particle divided by the total time taken. In this case, it is 12 seconds. So we just need to find the total distance traveled by this particle. So it's good to plot the motion of the particle as shown below. When t is equals to 0, x is equals to 0. You can follow me in writing this pair. It comes as a pair. And when t is equals to 8, x is equals to 74 2/3. Now in the multi-part questions, all the values that are in these parts will then fit in this diagram over here. Now when the velocity is equals to 0, usually there will be a change in the direction of the particle. So this particle will move now to the left. So let's try to find where the particle exactly lands up on when t is equals to 12. By substituting 12 into the displacement equation, the value is equals to 24. Now take note that this is the displacement, which is the distance from the starting point, which is O. Alright, so the total distance that is traveled by the particle is given by this red line over here. Therefore, the distance traveled will be 74 2/3 plus 74 2/3 minus 24, and the average speed will be given by dividing this total distance by 12, and which gives us a value of 10/4/9 meters per second. Now I do hope you have learned something from this video. Do subscribe and leave your comments or questions below, and thank you so much for watching.